Alright, welcome back to the channel. Today I have a short video and it's on band setup for bench press and a couple tips that I've learned. If that's something that you want to see, stick around. Okay, so as I've gone through my powerlifting journey, I've looked at different ways to set up bands, chains, all sorts of different accommodating resistance. This video is specific to bench press and specific to bands. But there's so many different videos out there on how to set up bands. So those are really good. And I went through YouTube when I was learning and got different ideas on how to set them up. But one thing that people didn't typically mention were the actual bands to buy. And there are so many different bands out there and different companies. And so I wanted to talk to you about that and what I found that works really well. So first of all, there's different band sizes. You can get these little mini bands. These ones are from Rogue Fitness. These are little monster minis. They're not very long. They're probably like 10-inch bands. I found that these work really good, by the way, side note, for doing deadlifts where I can set these up on the front band pegs to the bar. And when I do sumo, it forces me to keep the bar close to my body. I learned that from a couple different power lifters. So it does work good for that, but in terms of setting up for bench, yeah, these are pretty worthless. A lot of people use these for mobility stuff, but I didn't know that, and I ordered a bunch of these, and they don't get used very often. Then you have bands like this. This is actually a 20-inch band. This one is from Serious Steel, and this is marketed as a deadlift band. But more about this here in a minute. 20 inches is a great length of a band if you're looking to set up for bench and use bands. Then you get this one right here. This is kind of the most common type band that you'll see. This is like 40 inches, 41 inches, and obviously different sizes for different pounds of resistance. But when I say 40 inches, I'm saying from thumb to thumb, that's around 40, 41 inches. Rogue markets these as being 40 inches. If you go through like Serious Steel or some of these other companies, sometimes they're marketed as 40. But you have those bands which actually work pretty well for squats. And then you can get crazy in terms of the pounds of resistance, and you can get some of these big, huge ones that are just massive and you can barely move. This one is a Rogue Monster band. It's a 40-incher, and this thing is really good actually when I do some things with bench press, but I do reverse bench, so it helps me it helps me overload. So if I do overload bench, I strap these from the top of my rack and it helps slingshot it up. But it's mostly, you know what, that's mostly an ego lift. So these bad boys are massive. So you have all these different bands. Well, a couple things. I just want a quick, easy way to set up for bench press. If you use the 40-inch bands, it's fine, but you have to double wrap. What I found is these 20-inch bands, and I have a bunch of different sizes in terms of how big they are, how many pounds of resistance they're going to give you. These are perfect for setting up for bench press. All you do, put them around your band pegs, come up top, put them around the bar, works super, super, super well. The other thing is, if you buy something like this, I use this for a couple things, but I use this to put on my barbell. And so my band's actually not touching the barbell. I also use this if I want a little more room. If I'm squatting inside the rack and I don't want to hit the plates, this little spacer gives me a little bit of extra room. This is by Aperture Engineering. Super cheap. It's just 3D printed. I'll put a link to that in the description. So in short, if you want an easy way to do and set up for bench press using bands, by 20-inch bands. It's the perfect length of band to utilize where you don't have to double wrap. All right, if you have other tips about setting up for bench press and bands, leave them in the comments below. As always, please hit the like button, subscribe, appreciate you. Until next time, Adios.